Hello and welcome to The Taster, and you'll notice immediately that I'm wearing a lovely pink polo shirt today, which I bought brand new today. And in fact there's a theme there because today we're looking at pink wines. Yeah, we're looking at rosé wine, and it's been a lovely couple of weeks here in Cambridge. Although it's April, it's felt more like July, and one of the things which I think most of us associate with the summer is starting to see a bit of rosé wine out in barbecues and outside and everything. Nice, refreshing pink rosé wine. So I've got a selection here with me today, and fairly different sorts of rosé wine. Now just very briefly a word about what rosé wine actually is, because what it's not, or what it almost never is a blend of red and white wines. It's a wine style all of its own. In fact, it's a collection of styles. It's made from a variety of different grapes. And the reason it's pink is very simple. If you're making a white wine, generally speaking, or in fact universally, you won't macerate, so you won't steep the wine juice, or the grape juice, in its skins and lees. If you're making a red wine, you will do that. If you're making a rosé wine, you'll do that a little bit. So you'll get a variety of different shades of rosé wine, and generally speaking, that's not anything to do with how dark or light the actual red grape was in the first instance, but how long it's been steeping or macerating. So let's get this going. What I've got here today is a wine from Portugal, which is a pretty cheap and cheerful wine, which a lot of you will notice when you go on holiday. If you go on the Algarve, this is probably a wine that I've drunk more than any other, and the reason for that is when I was younger, over the last 20 years, in fact, I've been going to the Algarve on holiday every 2 or 3 years, and half the time you'll end up with a bottle of Mateus Rosé on your table. So that's what we've got here, the Mateus Rosé from Portugal. The next wine I've got here is a Spanish wine, and this is a Navarra. So it's from Navarre in the northern area of Spain, and this is a Garnacha, which is exactly the same grape variety as Grenache, which is used a lot in southern France. You'll get it used in the Rhone Valley quite a lot, and it's one of the several grape varieties you'll get in a Châteauneuf-du-Pape, which is obviously a red wine. What we've got here is obviously a pink wine, so it hasn't been steeped for very long, but it's still enough to give off that pink hue that you can see there. And then finally, what we're looking at is a French wine. This is called Domaine de Terrebrune, and this is a Bandol. Now, a Bandol is one of the very finest rosé wines. Rosé wines don't tend to have the same seriousness about them as the reds or whites or champagnes or anything like that. But if there is a rosé wine which is taken a bit more seriously, it'll be the Bandol, and it's got another rival in southern France from Tavel. So hopefully that's going to be something fairly special. I haven't tasted that before. So let's get on with the tasting. Well, I'll pour them out first and see how they look, how different they look in their colour. So here we go with the Mateus Rosé, and straight away I can see that it's kind of fizzing up to a certain extent. So it seems to be sparkling. Next one, let's go for the Navarra. See how that looks. And that's the first one was kind of orangey pink. This second one was just very bright, deep pink, very vivid. And then the last one, I mean, in the bottle and in the glass, much paler, fairly, in fact, more orange than pink, I'd call that one. So move the bottles aside so we can see those, and just hold it up to the white. If you can see that in the background, that probably looks very similar to this one on the camera with the light background, but I'm sure you'll notice that the Bandol, quite a different colour altogether. Okay, so let's go for the nose. And it's kind of sweet and fruity, this first one, the Mateus. Slightly kind of strawberry ice cream kind of flavour almost there. Yep. The Nevada. Yeah, again, it's kind of got a sweet kind of a smell on it, like maybe a kind of caramelly kind of thing as well. It smells slightly more vanilla-like than the first one. Although, to be honest, I'd be surprised if this had been aged in oak or anything like that. That wouldn't typically be done for a rosé wine. But I feel it's got a certain vanilla essence going on there somewhere. And then finally, and this is really very different kind of smell. This is a much more kind of complex, actually. It's kind of a slightly herbal kind of smell, much more earthy and kind of dry smelling, much less of the fruity kind of sweetness that the first two had on the nose. So, okay, let's give them a taste. So, Mateus. Yeah, not bad at all. Fizzy, lightly fizzy, sweet, fruity. Doesn't last very long. Flavour's pretty much all gone. Give it another quick taste. Kind of a sweet strawberry flavour. Spanish one, the Nevada. Much drier. Tastes a lot like a lot more like a kind of a white wine, to be honest. I mean, if I was blindfolded, I'd probably tell you I thought that was a white wine. It's fresher. It's certainly sort of fruity, but it's maybe more kind of cherry and raspberry than the strawberry. It's fresher. It's got a much drier taste, a much drier aftertaste, and it's still lingering on my palate right now. It's probably more. You might call it a more elegant wine. It seems to have a little bit more to it, a bit more interest value. So on to the final one, the Bandol. Completely different kettle of fish altogether. That's really quite different. I mean, it's really quite unusual, in fact. I'm not sure if I'd call say that tastes like a sort of a normal kind of a white wine if I was blindfolded. It's got a lot more kind of thickness, viscosity and body to it. It's got a lot more complexity, I'd say, about it as well. It's not just the fruitiness. It's still got some red fruity kind of flavours, maybe kind of maybe in between these two as far as the fruits, and kind of raspberry and strawberry, not quite as acidic as the Spanish one, less the sour cherry kind of flavour. But it's also got some sort of it's like I picked up on the nose. It's got a kind of herbiness to it, and also some kind of almost like a caramelly kind of element, which is partly the density, but also a sort of subtle sweetness. And it goes on for a long time. Still tasting it on the palate right now. It's very interesting. It's probably, I can see why this has got the reputation. It's certainly more complex than either of the other two. As far as how I would rate these three, though, myself, Okay, well, I think that the Mateus is a really nice summer glugging drink. It's not very complicated. Not wanting to offend the Mateus producers, it's probably a bit of an alco pop. Tastes pretty good. Lovely on holiday. You know, nice cold glass of that. That's great. Out of 20, yeah, I'll give it about a 14. At the second one and the third one, now although the Bandol's got the reputation, I can understand the reputation, for me personally I don't like it as much as the second one. I like the second one because it's got a real refreshing element to it. It's got real fruity, refreshing kind of flavour, and I really like that. The Bandol itself, I think, yeah, as I say, it's complex. It's a little bit kind of, it's herby and it's a little bit caramelly, very interesting, but it's not necessarily what I'd really be looking for, especially if I was ordering a rosé wine. I'd give that a 16, and my favourite here today certainly would be the Spanish Navarre here. I'm going to give this a 17 here today. Nice refreshing drink for the summer. If you can get hold of a bottle, you know, by all means do so. This is called Artazuri Grenache 2009. Very nice drink and highly recommended. So that's all from me for today. Hope you've enjoyed the show, and do post a comment on the website. Cheers.